Hey, what's going on, everyone? I just wanted to make this video to kind of set the record straight with regards to my relationship or my experience with half-face blades. And I posted a video a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't do a good job. Like, to be completely honest with you, I feel like it was kind of like a booze-fueled rant, and I knew that I could do a better job explaining myself with that. So hopefully I'm able to do that with this video. There really isn't a huge point to it except for the fact that, I have been a little bit like discouraged with the community that buys half-face blades. Like I kind of feel like they eat their own. Like, you can't give a honest review about anything. And the other, it might sound silly, but the other social media groups I belong to that, are aimed at a certain brand of knife or a certain maker, that they're usually very open to, having a discussion about things. And I've just found the whole half-face blades community is just, they're not open to that. Again, then we'll see a couple examples here, in real life of why that is not the case. But a little bit on my background with half-face blades. So as I said in my last video, I was, all told, like, open kimono. So I was the officer in charge at the Maritime Security Response Team, which, again, look them up, do a Google search, whatever. One of my close quarters combat instructors, are actually backing up a little bit, our snipers in the shop, and I was actually able to get one, were actually issued Crow Juniors. And at the time, always being a knife person, I was really into Winklers, had a few of those. I kind of I saw the half-face blades design, loved the Crow Junior. I was like, man, this is really cool. And then, to further punctuate that, the close quarters combat instructor on my team, he was a prior DevGru guy that had retired the year before. He kind of turned me onto it even more with like the flag, right? So that scalper flag that they have, I thought that was really cool. We both got them. That's what kind of turned me on to half-face blades and got me not away from Winkler, but just kind of open to the other fixed blades that were out there. So that was my introduction to half-face blades. But again, I didn't belong to any enthusiast groups on Facebook, anything like that. It was all word of mouth, and it was all, yeah, this is a cool company, they're making great stuff. It's Navy SEAL owned, so veteran owned, the guy's doing great things for the community. That was really cool, and that was definitely a brand that I could get behind. And before I go any further too, I've treaded kind of lightly in the group that I used to belong to, just because I had some customs that I wanted to sell. That being said, even though some people would think this is, oh yeah, run of the mill, this is like a really crappy production version of a Disaster Junior, I really do like this knife. And I think now that I'm not a part of that group, I can fully appreciate it in a way. I do like this knife. I'm gonna carry it. I also still have the SHPOS Gen 3 folder, which I think is a really slick folder. Again, as long as you know what you're getting. I did a review of that one, but I don't know. I just kind of as soon as I joined the group that I'm speaking about, just something didn't seem right from. I don't know, kind of. And a great example of that is, so my first introduction to the group was one of the people had posted a YouTube video. They set up a it was like a paid hunt and I only remember this because of Tiger King, but it was in Wynnewood or something like that, somewhere in Oklahoma, I think. And watching these videos of these guys, and keep in mind, I'm not, again, I swear, after the first time you're shot at, you're just all right, humans suck, animals don't, kind of thing. I really don't. I still, when I go home to visit my parents, I'll sit in the woods with my dad because he's really into it. But I started archery hunting when I was 14 years old, but I've always been very respectful of hunting, of taking another life. I don't even like killing spiders around my house. I really don't. I'm definitely I err on the side of, what did this thing do, kind of thing. But with that, like my first introduction to half-face blades, and particularly the group that I belong to, was this paid hog hunt, and I thought it was almost sickening. Like the video that was posted of it was like, these guys, it's a paid hunt, they're on a side by side, and I literally saw this guy, which again, like I've done my fair share of like taking animals' lives, but it was always like, very clean, like not, I mean, yeah, the words of my dad are kind of echoing in my head of like, yeah, like not taking a shot unless it's going to be a clean kill kind of thing. But the video, like right from the get-go, was like this dude that like winged this wild hog in the middle of this field, and definitely like hit it in its like hind quarter. This thing's like limping around, and they're kind of like tracking it in an open field on a side by side. And this guy, like, he gets out, and like I was like, oh, he has a handgun, he's probably just gonna finish it really really quickly or whatever. He proceeds to like pull out a half-face blade and stab this thing, and it is just like squealing like what. And I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, this is nuts. That was my first introduction to like the group and the people that were kind of collecting these blades. Yeah, it was a little bit off-putting for sure. But then kind of fast forward a little bit. Like I said, some of the other groups that I belong to, like, I feel like it's an open discussion where you can be like, hey, like, for instance, like, oh, this, like, Hinder XM18, like, yeah, what are the pros, what are the cons, what do you like, what don't you like about it? And I got my hands on this new Cavener folder, which I ended up posting a video of it, but I wrote out a very simple kind of straightforward, not pulling any punches review of it, and I'll post here like what I ended up getting from the admins. But the part that really stuck out to me was the fact that they said, part of belonging to this page is protecting the brand. It's like, protecting the brand from what? Like, this is like, it's a physical object that I can put my hands on, and every single thing that I have in my life, I have an opinion on, and it could be good, could be bad, could be great, could be sad. Like, what do we do? Like, this isn't like, I don't know, this isn't like Germany at the end of the 1930s. Like, we should be able to form an opinion and talk amongst peers about the pros and cons of a certain thing. And so that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I was just kind of like, huh, that's interesting. And I guess like from there, but I still at the time again had a couple customs, and I really did like, if you look at half-face blades now, like the customs, which again, like, I'm super pumped for them. Like, that shop is pushing out fire on a weekly basis, and it's more than people can buy, which is really cool. But I feel like when I got into the brand, it was like whatever you can get. Whether it's a production folder, whether it's a production fixed blade, like, grab whatever you can because it says half-face blades on it. Like, it's good to go. They're putting out a lot more things. And so like what I kind of witnessed in my last days being a part of this group was people are starting to like get rid of these like custom blades, and we'll definitely get to that for a minute. And like I know a lot of people are like, oh, like, half-face blades, like all that they do for the veteran communities and communities writ large. Like, Lord knows, I mean, there's a raffle right now for a very beautiful like samurai sword, like a smaller, it's not quite a katana, but it's shorter than that. Like, I bought a ticket for that kind of thing. Like, the company does great things, but once the drop happens and people pick up these blades, it is anyone's game. And you cannot tell me with clear eyes that dudes that are buying some of these blades for $800 or $900 are, selling them for $1,700-$1,800, and the rest of that money is going to, charity or whatever. And I could get very colorful with that, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So, I mean, all of this money that people are buying, selling, trading, like, it's all going in their pockets, and I mean, they're beautiful blades, but you can't tell me with a straight face that like it isn't about flipping, and people love to complain about it. I honestly, like, I love, like, it was like, yo, get some popcorn, let's see how much this thing goes for, whatever. Like, that's the way. I mean, just call it what it is. But that being said, like, if you are interested in half-face blades, like, now is the time to buy. Like, it is a buyer's market right now. Like, honestly, like, the market is so flooded that, like, pick up what you want right now for drop price. If anyone tries to tell you different than that, like, they're delusional, and they're going to be sitting on a safe queen, which apparently that's what some people really like to do. The other kind of, I mean, again, as I got into the group and as I sold off some of my customs, I don't know, I got a little bit more like forward leaning with my attitude towards it all. And one of the things that I loved were like these people with like tomahawks, right? So they make this, it's called a bleeding heart, I believe. I'm sure there's experts out there that'll correct me if I'm wrong, but they make tomahawks, and those are really cool. Like, I've seen those in shadow boxes. They're a great gift, like etching, this person was at this unit from this time to this time. But like, people would legitimately post and be like, oh, like, how is anybody like mounting this on their kit, and like, where are you putting the center line, like reaction side, whatever. And it was like, no one's using tomahawks in hand-to-hand combat. Like, they're not. That stuff was snuffed out a very long time ago. I know, like, what Red Team for DevGru, the old 3-star, he caught a lot of flack, we will say, because he was giving Winkler tomahawks to his operators and was like, oh, don't bring them back until there's blood on them. Like, he got rolled up for that, and like, no one is using a tomahawk to kill anyone, whatever. And so like, my rebuttal to that entire situation was like, somebody legitimately posted, probably a younger dude, maybe an airsofter. He was like, hey, like, how's anyone how's anyone like mounting these tomahawks on their kit? And like, my thought with that was like, nobody is. I literally told him, I said, hey, do yourself a favor, like, put this thing in your gun safe, bring it out after you're at a family dinner, had a couple of drinks, and you can show your dad, like, yo, look at this tomahawk, because that is cool. Like, I like that. But I mean, aside from that, like, from a self-defense standpoint, like, no one's using a tomahawk. If you think that they are, you're fooling yourself, and that's sad. I am not close quarters combat ninja, blah 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 blah. Like, I do not claim to be any of those things, but no one is doing that. And if you think they are, keep buying them. Like, I don't know, but they are really cool. I mean, I've heard some things about the Bleeding Heart Hawks, like specifically the Cerakote versions. Apparently they chip, whatever. But there was also recently a post of some dude that was like, hey, like, look at how well this tomahawk held up. I was cutting this like super like softwood tree in my front yard for an hour, and like, oh, cleaned it up, and it was like, cool, dude. I was steel chainsaw that'll do that in 2 seconds. Right? So I mean, so it's more of like the form over function, right? Like, people just want to be like, yeah, I used it, I did whatever, which is fine. I don't want to knock people that like that's the spice of their life kind of thing. Like, I mean, keep going with that. The next thing that I wanted to say was there was also kind of like a more recent post for one of their Betos, which are a fixed blade karambit design. And in this guy, like, I mean, it was really funny to me. He bought it from some dude who, I think he was an older like contractor or something like that. Maybe he used it at some point. I mean, this thing was like beat to hell, and he was like, hell, this is like an heirloom piece. Like, it's been through so much. Like, everyone has like safe queens, but this thing's legit. I'm going to keep it forever. Then literally 3 days later, Buddy's posting it for sale. And not only for sale, but he posted like this kind of like plea post, which I will post right here. It was basically like, hey, like, what's the value of a knife that's actually gone through and seen stuff and done blah, 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 and done all this. And it was like, the value of it is whatever someone will pay for it. And, oh, by the way, like, no one's probably going to pay that much for it. And, like, the fact that, like, I feel like he didn't only buy that knife, but he bought, like, the experience that the knife was associated with. And that just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I did. Like, I got with, like, my neighbor, one of my best friends, one of the greatest guys I know. I mean, like, I got him into half-face blades. He buys them, but he actually goes out. He uses them more than 90% of people that use them, and I'm always interested to get his feedback on like, hey, like how did this work, how did that work, whatever. I mean, it's overlanding, camping, whatever, day-to-day stuff, but really cool, and one of the few guys that I think is actually using these things. But I don't know, honestly, like I just kind of blurted out whatever, got some feedback with it, and I was like, all right, I'm done. And the other very interesting thing, which is like probably going to be a hard pill to swallow, is that like everyone that I've noticed, like before admins in this group would come in and like swoop in on like, you know, protect the brand, if they had some like trash to say that was certainly in a line with whether it was like the cab folders, whether it was the SHPOS Gen 3 folder, I kind of got to them and I would be like, hey, like, just so you know, like, this is not going to go over well. This is my review of whatever. I have had, and I kid you not, like, I could literally, I could post them in here, like, beyond multiple people contacting me and being like, I wish I would have seen your review of this. I would not have spent $500 on this, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I hate the fact, like, I can't get back to the idea that it's not like some sort of like dictatorship where we can't freely talk about the equipment that we use. And like, it's kind of like I don't know, like it's an insecurity piece, I think, where people are just so fixated on like, no, these things, like, you know, don't you dare cross them. And I don't think that was ever the original view of the brand, but that is certainly what it's turned into. And the other kind of more concrete example of I had, which like I just knew that it was time to go, was so this new like whatever, so these Jack Carr novels, right? And like I think that was really telling for me, or it was kind of eye-opening, in that like a lot of the people that are on these pages, you never really know what their profile picture, what they're into. It, I mean, it's like a Family Guy cartoon or something like that, or like an American flag that you're just like, oh, okay, got it. Yeah. Anyways, but it was very telling to me when these like this Jack Carr kind of circuit went around, where people were going out and being like, oh, this guy can sign my book, you know, like kind of going out to these like Barnes and Nobles. I don't even know where this stuff goes down, but it was kind of funny to me to like see these people where they're like, oh, like I got Jack Carr's autograph on my book. I showed him my half-faced blade. He was like, yo, that's dope. Like, keep on stuff, whatever. Like, I looked at those people, and every single one of them, I was just like, I don't have anything in common with you. Like, I don't. Like, I'm like, you all are like overweight dudes that are like trying to live out some sort of like fantasy in life, and that's not to say, again, I'm not going to be like, oh, I've done all this stuff, but like it was still very cringy. It was like watching like kids at Disney World, and like I don't know, that turned me off even further to it. And but you know, like with all of that, like I don't know, like I thought about this too. I was like, man, I mean, certainly like Half-Faced Blades, like their business model and like the way that they release stuff on Saturdays, like they're doing great. I could not be happier for the success of their business model. They're awesome. They're doing great. They do great things for the community, etc. But I just really think like I honestly feel a lot better like since I left that group, and yeah, now I can kind of get back to being critical of the tools that everyone pays a ton of money for, and you know, can actually voice my opinion of. So appreciate you all sticking with me. I'm sure like this did not, I don't know, I'm sure that this wasn't one of those videos that like everyone can kind of you know, equate to or empathize with, but yeah, just wanted to get it out there, because yeah, my last one was a little bit choppy, I would say. I didn't show my face in it or anything like that, but that's truly how I feel. And like I honestly feel good with the way that things are going. I'm looking forward to reviewing some more knives. I definitely, you know, this is my last Half-Faced Blades fixed blade, which is a Disaster Junior in camo Cerakote. So I will be reviewing that at some point too. Love their knives, but I don't know, I feel a lot better now that I'm separated from all that. So appreciate your time, and yeah, we will see you next time.